I remember because of the margarita. They were very salty. Mr. Salty, he was a sailor. Oh, we went out to sea once. At that sea, they come before D, right? Then
I remember D. I invented that letter. I invented the planet Saturn. It was Sunday, I was bored, and I had a shovel.
I remember in my day they had 9 planets.
Because what happened now to Sailor Pluto on Sailor Moon? Like, she's suddenly powered, she doesn't count anymore? Like,
no, she's an outer said she likes the stars.
Thank God. But she still counts, right? She can still show up to the staff meetings anymore, like she were out.
Yeah, Sailor Moon, that's not a planet.
It's not like Puerto Rico on the same.
She doesn't close.
What threw me off the most was when they had Chibi Moon, because I started asking around school, because I'm in like 4th grade, I started asking, guys, do we have a second moon? No, do you remember the small pink one? We have a second one? Which one is it? I'm thinking it's Neil Gaiman because it's the only person I can imagine the Earth revolving around.
We could keep doing this, or we could go to the panel. It's
Either
really
or.
up to you.
Cool, just BS.
Cool. It's 2 p.m. on a Friday, and I'm still so stoked to see it as populated as it is. Like, we still had staff here showing up at 7, and there were people waiting outside ready to get into the show. So this is super stoked. I'm super stoked to be back at ConnectiCon. I'm back with CJ. Welcome to Writing for Different Mediums, which is just as open-faced as, well, a decent pastrami sandwich, to be honest. Reason I wanted to try and pitch this panel, and I regret so hard I couldn't get any of the webcomic writers in on this, is in today's media-driven world, especially since we're so big into escapism. America's biggest export right now, as you know, are the Avengers. That's the only thing that we make right now. We make exploding movies for Bollywood to parody later on. With people creating their own webcomics, with the internet, with Amazon Kindle, with there being so many mediums that someone going into fiction or posting up on a blog, creating their own photosphere, creating their Instagram, their Twitter, everything needs writers now. Not only that, but when you get big enough, everybody needs copywriters. And then after that, everybody needs letters to write to their lawyer because they're being sued in copywriting. Great stories with Doug Walker on copyright infringement for those who come up later on. I wanted to just host a very casual, open-ended discussion on the challenges of breaking into different mediums. How do you keep on people's good sides, the politics behind, and then how do you take one core story and adapt it into something different? Because they've tried for years and years, and we finally, after 20 years, we've got a Sandman sequel coming out. Neil Gaiman just announced that at Comic-Con.
Wow.
But it's taken 20 years, and we still haven't gotten the Sandman movie, despite the fact that they have, I don't know, the storyboard right in front of them. Japan has been great with this business model. But I'm always getting ahead of myself. What I'd love to talk into, themes of journalism, writing for television, writing for movies, theater, and then the most visual theater of all, the radio. Short stories, novels, and then the big one, comic books, graphic novels. How to go into your own. Hosting this, my name is Carl Uncle Yo Custer. I'm a geek, primarily a geek-specific stand-up comedian, but a few people know I actually have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in dramatic writing. I was trying to take whatever crap is thrown at me, pitch this to Hallmark. One woman will turn her life around. Jennifer Aniston this year stars in Derp. And joining me with, I can't even begin to go into the novels, short stories, just fiction powerhouse. We're grateful to have him back every year at ConnectiCon. Please join me in welcoming CJ Henderson back. Writing, we all relatively know how to do it, except if you've been born on the internet. I don't know what the proclivity is to, that's a key word for you, proclivity. It's a clean word, trust me. What the lenience toward anybody under the age of 18 of not using grammar, just stream of consciousness, like every email is now a James Joyce short story. Briefly, a lot of the way that you can break into writing, there are so many zines, magazines, newspapers, blogs that parody newspapers, websites that parody newspapers, newspapers that parody blogs, Weekly World, and also the New York Times. Journalism is best described as the tersest you can in the 5 W's. Within your headline in the first paragraph, that's your whole story and the rest is form. I used to work for an author named, I have to drop his name because he asked that I did, Mr. Frank Delaney. Wow, I actually see some nods and recognitions. He was a frontline live journalist on the front lines in Ireland during the IRA days. And he would have to give live radio discussions. He has stories of grabbing the telephone and describing a bomb just exploded in front of the backyard, Main Street in Dublin. And the rest is just fluff. Your headline is very simple. It's the who, what, when, where, and why. What did I just drop in the first 5 minutes? Neil Gaiman announced yesterday at where? Comic-Con that, why did he announce? There's a Sandman prequel coming out, and I just got a boner. That's not in the actual article, but that is a response of from the video blog that we released after.
That was indeed the fluff.
That was a lot of fluff. And fun with the ending. Journalism is beyond anything one of the hardest things to train yourself to be good at. I used to write for my county newspaper back when I lived in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and our biggest problem was always what needs to be said. What is the key information? And then if you had to expand something to a page or a page and a half or something even larger, that was just all fluff, all the history. Within your first headline, your first sentence, you've already announced what did the mayor announce, when did he announce, why did he announce. I'm going somewhere with this. And this is the joy of us not rehearsing ahead of time. Because back in my day when the newspaper was printed on paper, which was dead trees. Yeah, remember when we had paper? Me neither. Has anyone actually wrote an essay in a blue book?
Yes.
Yeah, what is it?
And the lines of division begin.
Take that, generation gap. You will pick up over this. We have the internet. Terseness is next to godliness when you're just portraying information, which we'll do later on when we talk about the pitch. Your 5 minutes facing your Hollywood or your television or your Warner Brothers producer, you've got the story in your hand. How are you going to make sure that they walk out with it and not use it as last-minute toilet paper? In writing for journalism, your personality, your wit, your brilliance, because you all are, has to come second, has to come at the end of anything. You just need your information. It's your headline, it's also your punchline, and somehow tying it all together at the end. The tools of the best writers out there. Has anyone heard of the program Final Draft? Okay. If you want to write dedicatedly television, film, even at this point, theater, because I have worked with people who work exclusively with it, it is the most intuitive, friendly program for writing you'll ever find in your life. Just simply hitting the tab button has you already centered, has the format up and ready. Television is incredibly, well, not just scripted, but even the scripts themselves follow a very strict format. Also, I recommend for you guys, PDF converters. Save your... Not everybody has Final Draft. Not everybody has Word, believe it or not, or Mac compatibility, or they don't have Open Office. You have a PDF. Thankfully, hopefully, anything can read that. Does the iPad do it yet? Oh, that's more fun.
They can read PDF, but you have to buy it.
Oh, isn't that clever? It's not a pyramid scheme at all, because it's so flat. When you roll the display up into a pyramid shape, triangle's just a poor man's pyramid. Get that third dimension going. The big one. Television. CJ, have you ever been approached to adapt something for TV?
No, I've been brought in as a consultant to help design television shows, mostly nonfiction shows, but not fiction. They keep coming after me and giving me options for my stuff for movies, and they don't make them, which is fine by my wife because she just takes the money. But as they say, and keep this in mind, most books never get optioned, most options never get made. So if you do, if you sell that option, you're ahead of the game. There was one property, a pretty successful looking thing, looked like it'd be good, shouldn't have any problem. They had major stars signed to play parts. It took them 10 years to get this property on the screen. Superman. And Gene Hackman, Marlon Brando, and it took 10 years. And this will show you how competent the people you're dealing with. When Warner Brothers finally said, okay, we're going to go ahead, we'll do this Superman, why not? Who do we have to go to for the rights? And all the suits are, and one little guy in the corner goes, sir. Yes, what do you want, bro? Well, that's owned by National Periodical. Who are they? Well, we own them. Oh. Huh. We don't need what else can we do? And Batman, Wonder Woman, etc. starts rolling out. But they didn't even know they owned it. These people are idiots.
DC, we did really good with Batman and Superman. Do you have any other superheroes? What's the Justice League?
Oh, that's the thing that they want to run out and rush into production without any forefair. They're getting ready to do a Justice League movie. New actors, they're going to try to get anyone who's played Superman or Batman, they're just going to throw it together. Much like when they tried to put the Justice League on television because they wanted to cash in on Friends. If any of you have seen that thing. Oh my God. We got a crew of people together, the most sarcastic, sinister, evil bunch of writers and performers you would ever want to know to sit down and watch this thing. And it was so bad, we couldn't even make fun of it. We just got drunk and stopped watching it.
I was out of town that weekend. What's up?
It's like Manos and him who plays bad.
Ooh, actually,
That's big words. Nothing is that bad.
Manos the Hand.
It's the worst movie ever made.
Even worse than Plan 9?
Quentin Tarantino, yes, Quentin Tarantino owns one of the last remaining real copies. He watches it when he's in the mood to laugh. That's
Because I watched this film when I'm in the mood to laugh. All right. We talked, so pitching back into television. Here's the neatest part about television. The last 5 years, one of my favorite obsessions with every new anime season is streamlining the first episode. Because every first episode is its own self-contained story. It just happens to end on a cliffhanger. But the other 12, 23, 300 and infinite, oh, just die already, Ichigo, Kurosawa. All the episodes after that are just fluff and filler. You have to nail the situation, because the pilot, if you've ever watched the pilot of an unreleased pilot of a television series, nothing like the rest of the series. Anyone ever see the Blazing Saddle pilot? Okay, who here likes Avatar: The Last Airbender? Now, let's pretend that there was a god-awful live-action movie that never got made. Remember your crater of disappointment? All right, take the awesome movie Blazing Saddles. Invert that. Porn star stash. That's all you need to know about the Blazing Saddle pilot. Every television pilot is 20 pages, and the standard of writing for television and for movies, one page equals 40 seconds to a minute. Anywhere from 40 seconds to a minute. That is the dialogue, and that is what the camera's doing. That is the setting. Terseness, next to godliness. Everybody in this room who has a story in their head, they have the visuals. We know it's good. I know you guys have like The Hunchback of Notre Dame meets steampunk and Princess Bride. Tweeted it. No, I'm doing that now. Shut up, all of you. Tweet it. Okay, I gotta do that now before it jumps on it. Every television pilot is 20 minutes long. Figure a minute and a half for intro, for outro, and then commercials. You don't have a half-hour TV slot. 60 minutes is 48 minutes long. Damn it! You've got to be even more condensed with it. In a television script, I'm talking the hard thing that you hand over to your editor, you hand over to a producer. Title page, this by me, here's how you can find me, bat signal, Twitter account, whatever it takes to find people nowadays. Blood sample, thumbprint, if you're a vampire. It's everything that is seen and everything that is heard. Understand the following. The teacher who trained me wrote a film called Roman. Really cool action movie starring De Niro. And when they first picked up the script, which took 12 years for them to even consider that, they wanted to have a younger guy play it. And he eventually won when De Niro looked at the script and said, I like this, can I do this? The two biggest things that are going to get you a pitch is dropping a big name who's already interested in the project. So I have this thing, it's sort of Batman meets Hunchback of Notre Dame. I don't know, but Judd Apatow's really interested in this. Suddenly they just see money and they just perk up, and that's your pitch right there. If they had told me that freshman year, I would have been done by that point. Understand that when you go for television, here's the fun part. You have a safety net. Most of the writers that are doing NBC comedies right now, even if they're pulled in as a consultant position, they have a whole team. Patton Oswalt will jokingly talk, but this is real. When you have an animated movie out, the movie's already like 90% done. They bring in a team of comedians. Can you throw in random jokes to make it more fun, more fun? What do you mean? Just have someone scream out something in the back in the script. Why? Because we're paying you $50. Yay, dollars! Television is very much a team effort. No matter who pitches the show, unless they sit down and say, my name's Stephen Moffat, rah, 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 I want to do this, rah, 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 I know Matt Smith, rah, rah, rah. He handcuffed me, I know Matt Smith, rah, rah, rah. Here's our handcuff scar marks. It's very much a room of complete strangers trying to focus it all together. That's why you never see a show really hit its stride with the cast until the second or third season. Everyone is really getting used to working with each other. If you follow an NBC comedy, Community, The Office, Community Service 2, the first season is, what the hell are we all doing together? The second season is, you know what worked really well in the first season? That really got popular? Let's do a whole arc on that. Then it hits its stride. Same thing with Venture Brothers. The even number of seasons 2 and season 4 hit their stride when they realized the great part about this show is these dysfunctional side characters and not the constant Johnny Quest references. But themselves. You have 20 pages to blow somebody away. It's always going to be a team effort. Your first project, you have to be ready and willing. After you have sweat and bled and you have forced all of your daddy issues onto the script or whatever issues you have, I'm not here to judge. You have the piece. You have the Legend of Korra in your hand. Unless you are sleeping with the director, unless you are the producer, which I don't know if anyone in this room is. If you are, why are you at this time? Why are you a freaking guest? Jim Cummings wants to talk to you. If you haven't, understand, you are going to kill your baby. Understand, unless your name starts with a J and ends with an Osweden, and you already have creative control, you will kill your baby. I was at that point a few weeks ago. I am facing a producer who may or may not be someone's really famous mother producer, who just said flat out, like in the Louis C.K. episode, I'd like to take your script and make it real and make this big. Would you like that? Would you like to... Spot, this is so true. So I handed over what would have been my magnum opus back in college. I wanted to combine the Wonder Years and Footie Cootie and Twilight Zone in a family road trip. We got to read it at Comic-Con. We've had preliminary character sketches drawn up, but that doesn't mean they're going to go for that. Oh, no. They might take it and destroy it. But,
Oh, beyond shadow of a doubt.
but, if it gets off, if it's good, my name's attached to it, and I've signed the contract the right way, you can play with it somewhere else. You can always release the, well, do you know the what-if stories? Do you know how it really ended? Do you want to know their origins? Now they've got a franchise to build off of. Does anyone know why The Legend of Korra cut off so quickly as it did? It really felt rushed. It felt Angus Ex Machina.
They didn't know they were going to have a season 2 when they were writing the script.
Now, CJ mentioned the geniuses that you're going to work for. Does anyone realize how popular Avatar: The Last Airbender was as an animated series? It's the Batman the animated series of its time. Now, imagine all the fan base, all the DVD sales, all the Netflix, all the constant streaming that the internet is still, we love this show more. More people are watching it now that it's off the air than it ever was. They go to the creators. Can you do that again? Okay. We're only going to give you 13 episodes to see if this works. It already worked! It already worked! It worked so hard! Put it on my chest and eat it all of it! But they didn't know they were going to get the second or third series. I don't know how they didn't know the fandom was gonna leap into it as hard as they were until like the second or third episode when they realized, oh God, Bolin is the new Sokka.
But by the time your third episode is out in animation, you already have 10 done.
You have
At least, if not more.
It's been done for 9 months already. There's no way that they knew until halfway through. Oh crap, we are getting a second season. Oh crap, we're not. We are. How many of you have ever tried to impromptu coordinate 5 people to meet at the same restaurant at the same time? Has that ever effing worked? No. Imagine trying to do that, but you are trying to schedule 30 people to show up at the same meeting at the same time. Hard, isn't it? And they already have the amazing script. That's the worst part. The writer's work is already done. Now the producer's job is to flop.
Because I am not on TV. But the issue is, as the writer, you're coming in at sort of negative time. By the time, like we point out, that by the time the third episode is on the air, the audience has seen it. You've gotten your feedback on
Not only that, but the season's already done. I'm sorry, that animation has been done for 6 months.
It's
There's
in the
nothing
can.
you can do to change it.
Yeah. But you have to kind of anticipate what the reaction is going to be ahead of time. You want to anticipate the whoever you're working with, but you gotta have to anticipate the audience too. You'll see people who will write things like, "This is the most awesome Brody fic," and it's like, okay, but by the time it actually gets onto the air or gets on the net or whatever, it's 2-3 years later, and who one cares?
And isn't that the neatest part, that panel about writing? We haven't once discussed how to write. It is all politics. It is all handing it to the right person, and making sure that they're sober or awake enough that they know they're holding on to a cash cow. Today's very loose comedies, I frequent back to the NBC comedies because I know those are getting solid ratings. The Community and your 30 Rocks. A lot of their solid writing comes from having a solid cast with a very solid improv background. Because people are watching for the actors. People watch Avengers because they love Robert Downey Jr. But this is a neat time because the writers have more say and more power. Everyone is watching Avengers thinking, how much of Joss Whedon is in this? Oh, that character I love died. There he is. That's Joss Whedon standing behind. Thanks for all those millions from Buffy and Firefly, everybody. Sorry about killing him off. I'm Whedon. Writing for TV versus writing for movies. Oh dear. Movies have to have at least 12 versions, 12 divisions before it ever works. Neil Gaiman has a wonderful short story in his short story collection, Smoke and Mirrors, about a producer who is trying to create a story about like the Charles Manson family. And one of his meetings, the producer asks, can you make it about the spirits of the Manson family possessing people through this arcade game that they're playing? Video games are really big right now, right? What? Imagine you hand someone the script of the Titanic and they say, can it be in space?
But let us look at the most important thing that he has said here. What we have to notice is, and we as beginners, as people that aren't Neil Gaiman, this was said to Neil Gaiman. This is the respect that Neil Gaiman gets from these people. I say this because get your thick skin ready.
Yeah.
You are nobody special. This is what they love to prove. We are talking about people without talent, without souls, without hearts. They hate you because you have all 3 of these. They not looking for the laugh here, folks. Appreciate it.
But it's so honest, that's why I'm crying.
You have got to be ready for this because there are 75 of each of you in the tri-state area. And there are 57,000 tri-state areas in the country. And they're looking forward to making each and every one of you cry. They don't need you. They don't care. You have to dance the dance that they want to see with only the slightest little modicum of, oh, look at that, look at that. I do believe he did something new. That one. Bring it into the light. Examine it.
Eat this eggplant in front of us. I'm allergic. Then do it slowly. It's like a wonderful episode of 30 Rock. I'm trying to remember its title. Here's your script line. Your main drama queen, blonde actress, played by the great Jane Krakowski, is doing a torture porn film. And suddenly, Cabletown realizes that they can get way more money directly from the government of the state of Connecticut if they make the movie promoting great things about Connecticut. What does the guy with the chainsaw start talking about? Seeing the wonderful museums and walking around Hartford or seeing the wonderful sights of Port. By the end of that episode, this one scene of it's just supposed to be, no, don't cut off my boobies. There is a Muppet dancing. There's a guy who wants to run for local office in Denver stepping up to make his own commercial. And then there's vote who you want to be slaughtered first. The puppet, and the writer, the character played by Tina Fey says, what are they voting for? It's a movie. It's already been made. Who cares? Walmart's giving us $80,000 just to put their banner in the background.
This will come your way. And what you have to ask yourself is it worth it? Do not connect your soul to these things.
You be ready to kill your baby because you're going to make many more. You're putting your soul on the paper. Trust me, your soul grows back. The thing you're writing now, the best thing, can just be sold off. You can do it again. Trust me, you'll always have that in your head, in your heart. Don't let them know that. Don't hook it up to a Slurpee straw.
He is right. You have more than one fantastic idea. The reason a lot of people feel they don't have one is, first off, they don't try hard enough to get it in print or on the airways, whatever. They don't try to get it out there hard enough, and so that they'll never be put in the position of having to prove they have a second one. Boy, I had a point. He's catchy. Oh my God.
Your movie script is going to look something like this. The more white space, the better. I know that all of you know in your head what the main character is going to look like, and you would just love to do a Charles Dickens on here's what it should look like. Because you know, once someone reads that, oh man, that's going to look great. No. It's going to be filtered through a creative team, a designing team. It's going to be filtered through what the director wants, what the actor then decides to put on that. Johnny Depp likes wearing things on his head. That's his character. That's not originally how the Jack Sparrow was written. Anyway, scene heading, top left. Character dialogue, which is the main thing that you're going to read, the main thing that you're going to hear. The script for Airplane, the brilliant camera tricks that they do, not in the script. Sorry, a lot of it was impromptu right there on the set. Dialogue right there in the center. You want to be able to run down it just like the side column of a newspaper article. Your scene changes, very tiny. Cut to, I know you want to pull the camera back over someone's shoulder, pulling it out of a car. Please don't do that.
You don't get to do that.
The more you write, the less they're going to read that. That's the hardest part about a movie script. Your lines, your jokes, like I said, terseness next to godliness. And they're going to hammer down a 3-act structure. It's the only way that they understand that. Your setup, your conflict, and your resolution. The movies that do it best, you really want to understand movie structure, don't go to school for it. Watch children's movies. Spend a day watching animated children's movies. Perfect 90 minutes, 30-minute long segments. Because the commercials are always in between, like 5 minutes when they've had a major scene. That's a major change. That's the next major change. All of your scenes. Flip the card over to the next card. Children's movies and Pixar does it best. It's just hands down, they make it look so easy. That's why you gotta love hating them. Your control issues work like this. There's the producer, the people funding it. There's the director. Somewhere beneath, is the writer. Have you ever heard of the Polish movie actors who wanted to make it big? She slept with the writer. You get into the movies, you get a pitch. The pitch has to be as quick and terse as possible. I tried pitching myself as Uncle Yo or my pilot. I just told you guys, Footie Cootie meets the emotional angst of the Wonder Years and the fun, quirky pop culture references of the Twilight Zone. I see people nodding their heads. You've seen Footie Cootie. I'm facing a woman who has produced Dancing with the Stars, who's produced reality TV. What does she understand is what stay-at-home mom is going to watch this? My son has done the following movies. How do I touch that demographic? She doesn't know that there's an entire demographic out there of people ready and willing to flip tables to get in line to see the next season of Legend of Korra. That doesn't exist in her head. I didn't have the hour to contextualize how important this was. I had the half hour to say, this is gonna fly if you put this on Adult Swim. Talk to producers at FX. This is what they want. This is Archer, but a lot angrier and with breasts that really alter memories. in every episode. It had to be this meets this. I said Batman in space, Titanic in space with steampunk. Whatever giant cultural money bank that they hear that just turns into ka-ching, that's got to be your pitch. You have 40 seconds to grab their attention. The first 5 seconds are making sure that you're making eye contact with the soulless son of a bitch. But then, there's the joy of working in theater and the joy of working in radio. If it's not corporate, if you're not trying to put on the Spider-Man musical and thus ruin both musicals and Spider-Man for all time, here's how it works. The writer, then the venue, then the director. Sounds like fun? Yeah, wait until it's not the stage reading. Writing with theater is a massive collaborative effort where you can always defer to the director and then to the writer. Especially if you're working on a new play, even if they're an accomplished actor, they want to hear compliments. A lot of the time, they want to make sure that they're doing it right, that they're working the best that they can, because they want to get more work. Actors are desperate for work. Because even with all these web videos, if you're not making your own, not really making it at this point. That's the fun part about the internet. Working with theater a lot of the times is a discussion roundtable, and then when you get the reading up, we'll see how it goes. If you got a big visual in your head, it's not going to be there for the stage reading. A lot of the times, it's a black box. Whoops. Now the imagination is your best key. Who's going to imagine what you're imagining? We shall see. David Mamet, Edward Albee, and even Bill Shakespeare, their scripts look something like this. Monologue. Monologue. In theater, you're writing what's heard, maybe a little bit of what's seen. Because as Julie Taymor proved when they handed it over to her in Spider-Man, that's not really Spider-Man. My favorite character in Spider-Man has always been the skyline of New York City. She ignored that. I'll tell you a story of working with two directors. It was the summer I got to work with New York Stage and Film. We were directing a new piece. There was a piece called A Steady Rain. It had a short off-Broadway run. Two actors are supposed to be in a dark space telling you their opposing stories. When this got moved to Broadway, Daniel Craig and Hugh Jackman were the only people on stage. James Bond and Wolverine playing Chicago cops. On a blank stage. That's how it's written in the script. The whole script is just their dialogue. When it was handed over to Trip Coleman, big director right now, experimenting with plays, he formed this amazing box, elevated on platforms that you couldn't see. It had about 12 lights, including a gigantic backlit glass screen that, to symbolize a big shattered window that sort of starts off the whole movie, starts off the whole play, they wadded up duct tape and had it etching out like this diabolical spiderweb that they would cut to just the backlight to give you that image. And every scene transition, there was very loud, sudden rock music. And now the next scene begins. Spoke with the writer after that. After the party. His words.
it's not in the script. He just did his job wrong.
Theater joke. A director, an actor, and a producer go to the diner and they're recommended the soup of the day. The director tastes it and says, guys, this soup is incredible. Just wish it weren't so salty. You guys try it. The actor tastes it and says, oh, this is good. This is very, very good. I'd like to see some avocado in it, but this is amazing. I should bring some avocado from home. The producer drinks it and says, guys, this soup is fantastic. Let's all piss in it and make it perfect. Heart and soul may be in the script.
You people keep laughing. It's coming.
Heart and soul may be in that script. It may be the living structure of, maybe the living spirit of your grandfather that's on those pages that you want to bring to that audience to see them watch. But once the director is handed it, I worked with this amazing ginger producer, but every time you hand her a script, be it Shakespeare, be it Commedia dell'arte, be it Jane Eyre, the stage is going to be nothing but chairs. The furniture and the backlighting is all going to be chairs. Jane Eyre actually got laugh lines when this woman directed it. She had a moving wheeled box that had 3 different sides of red lighting and a step, a giant ladder made from chairs. What the hell does that have to do with Jane Eyre and feminism in the late 1800s? She likes chairs. This is the power that these people have, that the producer, that the director does. Oi! And that's if the script gets made. That's if it's really good. Radio, your script is going to look like what it sounds like. That is it. If you're a fan of podcasts, I recommend downloading Pseudopod, the weekly horror podcast. I recommend listening to This American Life because they do stories. But that's it. They do narrative structure over long events. And they do it well through seamless transitions. Through music, they use silence, they use live sort of candid interviews if need be. But it's all forced and imposed in a narrative structure. Reality television, documentaries, they're all the imposed narrative structure. Here's the who, what, when, where, and why. Here's your setting.
Don't discount radio as a way to go. Now, if you have no talent for it or aptitude for it or interested, well, then yeah, discount it. But if you think you might be able to make this work, keep in mind, look what's happening to television. Television is becoming a giant wasteland of reality programming because reality programming is cheap. However, with so much technology now in our hands, in the hands of the people that don't have billions of dollars to play with, suddenly imagination is capturing people's minds. And even the people in Hollywood and the other bastions in their ivory towers can look down and say, I hear this internet thing is finally starting to make money. And I hear we're losing the young people. Now, this is a terror word for them, for a phrase, I should say, because young people have money and don't have the self-control to not spend it.
Yeah, we don't.
And they love it for it. I mean, why do they give up on old people for their audiences? Because old people...
You can't beat Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune, I'm sorry. You can't.
Old people have their craft. They've got their washing machine, they've got their car. This car gonna last, I don't need me no new car. That's why they concentrate on younger and younger audiences. That's what they shoot for. And they are beginning to realize that the young audience is like, well, crap, we can make our own entertainment. They're beginning to realize that people can just sit down in front of YouTube and spend 4 hours and miss meals and have the greatest night of their life and then go back and do it again. And
Just
again,
watching
and again.
cats ride Roombas.
Like, damn it, it's free. How are we going to get in on this? Radio is going to, well, it's already resurging. I mean, they've already come to me to do 3 different radio plays, and I wasn't even asking anybody. So if the money's falling out of the sky, it is viable. Think about it, because this is the place where you're really going to be in charge. It's all imagination. It's pure imagination. It's the power of your dialogue forcing people to see things. And if you can do that, you could have a career. I'll go back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wanted to make a suggestion. If you are going to do radio, and it is a good way to go, definitely want to look up a good sound person. All of those little stage directions that you like to put in radio, it's all about creating a sound sphere, an atmosphere that
When Gaiman had his story, Murder Mysteries, adapted into a radio play, they had to do the beating of Lucifer's wings. And the audio engineer picked up a blanket and fluttered it in front of a microphone and said, Neil, grab the other end and float this. Why? These are Lucifer's wings. There's Power Rangers printed on it. These are Lucifer's wings. I'll show you how. Oh, isn't that fun? Does anyone know what the TARDIS landing noise actually is? That
I think it's a key run across some piano strings,
Yep.
and then they messed around with it in post.
And then they just played with it. That's it.
They don't even have to. Go to Costco's. When you go on the down escalator, just put your cart. Again, let it scrape the wall. They forced it over there, it fell, and my daughter and I both looked at each other because we knew what it was. Boom.
Tom Baker? Oh, I've only come to Walmart. Let's get the big nitty-gritty. Short stories, novels, trilogies. This is where the writer has absolute control, right? You're not talking to a director. You're not talking to trying to collaborate with an artist. You'll not even have to talk to a producer, maybe. Your story is there. Here's 800 pages of what I want people to see and understand. And it's so easy, right? Right?
It is.
The difference between adapting for a short story, which then gets expanded to a novel, which then gets expanded to a trilogy. Now you make it look easy, which I have always been insanely jealous of. The character that did it for me was you had sold me a 4-story vampire anthology called
Flesh and Iron.
Yep. The final story was about a modern Chinese detective who was, well, I don't know if I want to call her telepathic.
She's a psychometrist. They touch things, they get impressions, they work with the FBI to find missing children and things like that. That's the character.
She squares off against a vampire. Short story reads like this great 40-minute TV cop drama. Then she got her own book. Then I found the comics. What is the process of taking one moment, be it a funny side character, be it a neat idea, or be it Lei Wan, supernatural detective, and expanding on what instinct is working to expand on?
Well, Lei Wan actually started out as a side character. But in the novels, my Teddy London Supernatural Detective novels, she's one of the side characters, and she was, well, all my characters are afterthoughts. I make everything up as I go along, and I give you this, we have a little bit of talk about writing. If you use outlines, fine, no problem, go for it, but you don't have to. My best stuff is when I make it up. I get to the part where the detective needs a psychometrist. So I said to myself, okay,
Crap.
because every character that I create has to have some kind of a hook so I know what I'm doing. I said, she got hit by a bus and died on the operating table. And after she came back to life, which sometimes does happen, she had this power because of her brush with the beyond. Okay? I mean, radioactive spiders, it's an origin. You know? So for a page and a half, I'm happy. And I'm like, wait a second. If she wakes up in a hospital bed and suddenly she has this ability, doesn't that mean she's just going to lay there broken, helpless, and have to feel the pain of every cancer patient, the rape victim, the third-degree burn? Well, it's not just this bed.
What's going to happen when she gets into the elevator?
Well, they wash the pillows and pillowcases and sheets and blankets. She could be feeling every bed in the hospital. Well, they put chairs all around the bed. People would pour grief into this bed for how long?
What if she gets into a taxi to ride home?
Well, you haven't even gotten her out of bed yet. What about the guys that are like, hey, Grandma, happy to see you. God, I hope she dies so I don't have to come back tomorrow. And that's when it hit me. This woman is always going to know the truth. Her life is over. There's no more fun. There's no more games. No more romance. She can't sit across the table and wonder what he's thinking. She knows.
Worst part, there's nothing that she doesn't know.
And it hit me. It's like, so getting this part, what's going to be worse? when she finally can get out of the bed and get through the front door through thousands of footprints of pain that come in, or when she's walking down the street and can hear in her head what every guy thinks of her. What if? So, and the reason I go through all of this is analyze what you're doing. Get the stuff that's fun down first, but then step back and look at it and see what you have created. Think about it. Pull it to its full capacity, to its full end. That's the way you get things. Sure, this was just a side character, but because I gave her a moment's attention and realized, holy crap, look at all the stuff that's actually should be going on in her head. We get stuff all the time that people don't think through. And it gets green lighted, and we sit there and watch it and go, well, this is so stupid. That's because they didn't think about it first. But the stuff you do think about, other people will come. In answering this, the long way around to answer his question.
No, it's the best way.
Other people came to me and said, oh, we want this.
Can we have more?
It's a discussion for her to have a novel. People are clamoring for her to have her own novel. Do you know how hard this character is to write?
I can't put her in a diner booth.
She doesn't leave the house. Everything has to be hers. It has to be as untouched by other people as possible. Now, granted, she's gotten
She
used
can't
to
even
it.
do fresh direct.
But every time she gets settled with the world, I seem to throw her another curve. I mean, in the first book when we met her, she had just really come to grips with the world and was leaving her home and doing stuff. So I introduced her to the fact that, oh, yeah, there's gods, there's demons, there's all sorts of horrible stuff crawling around out there that people don't know about. And she kind of loses her mind. And that's when editors started begging me for the short stories. And when I filled the book with short stories, there was a little bit of room left. So I wrote a new story. I wrote a story that became the last story in the book. And in this story, she's starting to have dreams. She's beginning to dream the future. But, okay, I have a dream, and someone's going to die in Chicago in 5 minutes. What the hell can I do about it? It's like fate just, the more fate tortures this poor woman, the more the readers want to buy it. So I don't know why, but, and I didn't do it on purpose. But they're going to put the book out again with the cover on the right way, and so they want another story. So I've come up with a story called Despair, because it seems to fit her. And I'm finally going to give people her vision of what happened when she got hit by the bus and died. Because of it, I want to write about that. But this is coming, the thing that started the character has never been done. We don't know that she got put in a ship and sent from Krypton. We just know the biggest little details. And I'm finally getting, the origin is not important. What's important is what you want to get down on paper and how fast you're willing to do it. Now, he's mentioned the show Community a number of times. Anyone seen Community?
Anyone else miss it already?
Yes, I know, even though it's renewed, yes. This is brilliance dealing with Hollywood. What Dan Harmon did was, if you look at the structure, if you go back and look at the shows, the first episode, you know how he pitched it. That's why you see it's Friends. We all know Friends made money. See, this is the dramatic tension between the guy and the girl. Here's your character who's beautiful but doesn't know it. She used to be fat. It's Friends, character by character. When you go in, and they found that perfect cast, like he said. It's likable, it's lovable, and it very well could have been the new Friends. So why isn't it the biggest thing in the world? Because Dan Harmon said, screw money, screw playing to the lowest common denominator. I have a vision. And his vision was to rip Hollywood a new every episode. Now you understand, I don't have television, and I know this show. I've seen it because the good stuff comes to me because my daughter's a little genius and she brings me everything. I have the first 2 seasons because that's all they have on, but I've seen the third one. And he starts out making small references to Star Wars and things that people will get.
And then Inspector Spacetime comes along.
Before you know it, he's building episodes around movies like My Dinner with Andre. That a lot of people don't know. If you can find it, it's really great. I'm still looking for a DVD of that movie.
I think.
But here's the Hollywood punch in the head. They got 3 seasons out, and they debated whether they're going to cancel it or not cancel it. Because not high in the ratings, but every critic in the world loves it. It's on every critic's top 10 list. It gets great reviews. And the fans to it are loyal. What they do, they put it up against Big Bang Theory because they're so smart. But after the third season, they said, okay, everybody loves this show for Dan Harmon. People that love it, this guy is the nucleus that it's built around. He is the cause, the driving factor. He is every part of the life and vitality of this show. So we're going to renew it for a fourth season, but we're going to fire Dan Harmon. This is the way these people think. This is what you're up against. Again, we're not trying to scare you, soldier. We're trying to prepare you. They are not throwing snowballs. Do you understand? This is not your mother's lemonade club on the other side of that wall. These are damn dangerous people who want your guts for garters. Just try to remember this when you meet them because they're sweet and they're lovable.
They wear garters.
No. Ken, are they taking care of Ken? Get Ken a water. Can we take care of Ken here? Now, Ken, give us your salt.
Makes us something. They pull out the huge swirly straw. Go into it.
And the reason it works so well is they're not trying to trick you. It's not Lex Luthor. It's not a serious, sinister plan. This is who they are. They care about you, Ken. They really do. I know it says JJ, but I said Ken for some reason. They want you to be happy. They want you to be relaxed. They want you to be set because they're going to come after you and they want you ready for it. It's just the way they work, and they understand how they work, so they make it hospitable. But they will chew you up because you know what? This is from their side of things now. Their time's worth money. Who are you? You are nobody. The fact that you got in here to sit down in front of us, and this guy's got the nerve to think he's anybody?
You're not my hooker or mistress. What are you doing here?
And you know what? They're right. They've got as many dollars as you have in the bank. They have millions of dollars. And this is why they feel they're entitled to have all the time in the world, and you can have a little tiny piece of it, because once again, there are 75,000 more in line, ready to stab you in the back, kick you down the stairs, and laugh about it to get to one space forward. So it's just like, this is why you can't guilt them, because they're justified. They're in charge. There's a billion properties out there to choose from, and every year there's more, and they can have their pick because they got the distribution network. This is what terrifies me. Bring us back once again to the internet. They had the distribution network. They have the movie theaters. They have the television network. Now they have something that they can't figure out how to control. Once again, this is your chance. Turn your TVs off. Put the beer back in the fridge, stop wasting time, and start work. If you want to get somewhere, get goddamn serious now. Because now you're young. You've got everyone in this room is younger than me, so I can say it. You've got juice, and you can afford to waste it. Bury yourself. Get that project moving. Do it. Throw yourself into it. What else is there? I mean, you only have a short amount of time. If you get the natural range, you got, 60 more years? And, only 30 of that are you going to care. So you got maybe 30 more years? How fast do years go by for you right now? How many of them have you just pissed away? Get serious. Hunker down. Start working. Examine the internet. Everything that he said is true. Look at it. Find the niche that you can attack. Find your perfect way into it and start working, start climbing. Now, of course, I don't need the competition as far as I'm concerned. Relax. Put your feet up. Turn the TV on. Roll a doobie. You got all the time in the world. And die alone and forgotten.
Actually, it was that speech that actually got me published. You made me mad because you made me realize it has been 2 years since college and I haven't submitted anything. I sat down and I reread my favorite book of all time, which I reread every year compulsively, The Little Prince. I just went to a steampunk haunted house, and the gears started rolling. Steampunk Tales magazine, it's been up and a couple of times. I came back to you the next year. I've just made money as a writer. Game on now. The 3 most important phrases I think have ever been passed down: he brought it brilliantly with his character they wanted. Every character's pain is equal to your own. Whether it's the shoddy, crappy, possessive stepmother, whether it's the possessive douchebag played by Ryan Reynolds, it's really the only thing he can't play. Every character's pain should be equal to your own. Who has a great idea for a story there? Who has a great idea? Put it here. Don't tell me. These don't do anything. I'll forget with these. I don't want to hear about your great story. I want to read it. I want to read your webcomic. I'm still reading Panels for a Video, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Those are your big ones. We have the power now with the internet. Even if you're just starting a webcomic and you have 5 or 6 listeners, my podcast had like 4, and they were all family members I built it. And Doug Walker on an episode. Shoot! Next week. Oh well. But I'm still going, and I still want to keep it going because it is fun and inventive. And the 2 most important words that you have to always ask yourself: what if you have a character who can create fire with thought? What's he going to do when he visits a firework factory? How's he going to get out? You had a question, and then I think we just got to wrap it up.
I was just saying about the podcast you're doing. One way that people notice things also is if you go at it for a while and you just have a whole bunch of episodes already done.
Consistency.
That's how people notice.
The fact
Because if
that
you only have 2 or so episodes, they don't think you're going anywhere with it.
that's it.
What he said.
Never stop.
You've got to keep the product coming out. People get bored so fast. And why shouldn't they? The world is filled with stuff. Who are you to expect them to come back? Trust me, every time I'm at Connecticut, I'm unveiling a new book. Because this is a big show, it's an important show, it's filled with people that talk to other people. I make sure that, not just something I have one story in, at least one new novel I premiere every year here, because you're here, you know, by the thousands. And since it's almost time,
Just about, yeah.
you reminded me of the one phrase that, you know, the big one. Every second of every day, everybody does exactly what they want.
Yep.
What do you want? Don't tell us, because we don't care. Nobody cares as much as you. And if you don't care enough to get it done, it's never going to happen. Whatever worlds you have built in here, whatever great heroes, whatever fabulous situations, they die with you if you don't get them down. Now again, I don't need the competition. I don't care. I don't care if you get anything done. It's more money for me. I get to take home buckets of coins to my wife. But if you have something, if dying alone and forgotten is not for you, if you want your name to last beyond the grave, if you want your name to follow mankind into the stars, if when the dimensional barriers are finally broken, and every you that has ever been is lined up, do you want to be the one that is found wanting, or do you want to be the one that is God among men? It's all up to you, because every second of every day, everybody does exactly what they want. What are you going to do when you go home?
You can go on Facebook as many times as you want. Get writing. This has been Writing for Different Mediums. If you enjoyed it, please post it up on the Connecticut forums. My name is Uncle Yo. This is Mr. CJ Henderson. Visit his stuff. It's fantastic down in the Artist Alley, right at the corner, right as you turn to get out. I've got my stand-up panel tomorrow at 8 p.m. Panel 1. What else are you doing, CJ?
Unless they've hidden something that they haven't told me about, I'm just running the college too with
Okay, so left hand on steampunk panels, right knee on guest panels. All right, folks. You guys please enjoy your Connecticut.
Best shot of your ass.
What time is the game you're running?
8 o'clock.
Where are the,
I don't know yet.
Okay.
If you go and sign up for it, you can come to Artist Alley.
Mostly just give Tom and